Hello and welcome to my porch. My name is Roy. I'm a home cook, an amateur baker, and I'm here on this channel typically sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today, you can obviously tell I'm on the porch, no recipe, but this is a No Tag Tuesday. The questions this week come from Sandy over at Life with Sandy. I had done them the 2 months previous, and she said, I've had enough of you and your AI questions, so I'm taking over once again. It's not really what she said, but I'm imagining it is. Now, before I go on to the questions, if anyone saw my video that came out on Friday, it was not a recipe, it was to vote for my cookbook covers. I am putting together a cookbook, so I came up with 3 different designs and had people vote. There was all over the place, but there are some front runners, but I'm still gonna give it a little more time for people to check it out and vote. Also in that video, I said I wasn't doing a recipe because I was not feeling well. I am feeling somewhat better. They put me on allergy meds. Apparently that will help clear up the fluid in my ears. And I have noticed that I'm not as dizzy as I was, but every once in a while, if I move too quickly, I might get it back, but for the most part, it seems to be improving. So fingers crossed it keeps going that way, because I got a lot of videos to record this week. I've got this tag, I've got hopefully a truck talk and grocery haul, although I can't imagine it's gonna be much. I have my lemon bars to do for my recipe, and we have a collab coming up on Sunday the 16th at 9 a.m. for summertime snacks and sweets. And I am hosting, so I definitely have to make sure I get a video out for that. And I am going to be doing, if anyone is interested, strawberry shortcake ice cream cups. You remember the strawberry shortcake ice creams that you'd get from the Good Humor ice cream man? I am making an approximation of those, but in a cup. I wanted to try to do them on a stick, and for the longest time, I kept putting off the recipe because I couldn't figure out how to get it into the stick with different layers and whatnot. So I came up with doing them in a cup. It's the same great flavor, but a little easier to eat. So those are all things that should be coming up this week. So fingers crossed, everything goes well. Now on to the questions. As I said, these come from Sandy over at Life with Sandy. The questions will be down in the description box, as well as links to all of the other channels that are doing this tag. So go check them out and give them some subscription love if you don't mind. Now on with the show. Number 1, did anyone, either related or not, live with you when you were a child? Now I'm assuming that this means not your immediate family, someone from outside of the immediate family, since obviously I had at least my mother, part of the time my father, but he left when I was younger, and I had my siblings, but we never really had anyone stay with us for any length of time, so no. Number 2, do your family members live close to you? Most of them do. My brother Dan lives about an hour and a half from me in Connecticut. My sister Kelly lives about an hour and a half away from me in Western Massachusetts. And my other brother Tom, who passed a short time ago, used to live about an hour and a half from me in another town in Connecticut. So everyone was around me. The furthest person from me now is my Aunt Dawn, who lives in Georgia, and my cousin, her daughter, who lives out there as well. But for the most part, my immediate family is close to me. Number 3, did your family have any special traditions? Not really. I mean, the only thing I can think of is we used to spend Christmas Eve together and do our Christmas on Christmas Eve, because typically we would go to Paul's aunt's house where we were doing a big dinner for Christmas. So that's the only thing I can think of. Other than that, we didn't really have any traditions. We would try on occasion to go up to the reservation in Maine in August for Indian Days, what they call Indian Days, which is like a big powwow. So we are going up. My brother and sister and I are going up this year. I haven't been in years, and this may be the last time I can physically get up there. So I'm making an effort to go up there. And speaking of family traditions, I guess we are bringing some of my mother's and brother's ashes up there to spread them on the reservation so that they are back connected to the reservation in that way, in a more permanent way. But other than that, we never really had any traditions. Number 4, what was a family favorite meal growing up? I do remember my mother made fairly often chicken and dumplings. I am not a fan of the texture of dumplings. They seem gummy to me, and I'm a texture eater. If the texture doesn't work for me, I can't eat it. She used to make that a fair amount of times, and the other kids enjoyed it. The only thing I can think of that we universally enjoyed was she would make a stuffing for Thanksgiving that now my brother Dan makes. And that was like made with meat and milk and things like that. That's the only traditional dish that I can think of that she made that we all kind of enjoyed. Oh, one thing I did love that she would do, and usually again only on Thanksgiving, is she would do cauliflower with a white cream sauce. That was my absolute favorite thing. Favorite thing. I'd almost forgotten about that. Number 5, did you have special traditions associated with your favorite meals? No, we didn't really have any traditions, as I said. Definitely none that were associated with any meals. Except, of course, for the fact that it was Thanksgiving when some of our favorite dishes were made. Number 6, where did you meet your spouse or partner? Now, I know I've mentioned this before, but in case you're new here, I met my partner, Paul, 23 years ago, and I met him online. I'd gotten home late at night from working at the casino. I worked at Mohegan Sun Casino, and it was probably 2 o'clock when I got home, and I'd sometimes go on the computer and sometimes just play games, sometimes go in chat rooms, sometimes I would go and look at personal ads, looking for love in all the wrong places. But it ended up being the right place after all, because I was searching, I'd found Paul's picture, and it really kind of intrigued me. I don't know if I can still find the picture that he posted or not. If I can, I'll post it here, but I don't think I'll be able to find it. But I saw his picture, and it was so late. I'd probably been home for a little while by then. I was exhausted. I was just going to shut off the computer, go to sleep, but something told me to at least touch base with him because I might not find his profile again because they came up very randomly. So I decided to just send him a quick note saying, "Hi, I'm really tired, but I saw your picture. I wanted to just at least say hi, and maybe we can talk sometime if you would like, blah, blah, blah." That was about the extent of it. And then I went to sleep, and I got a response. We communicated back and forth through email for probably a couple of months. And we then started talking on the phone until we finally decided that we felt comfortable enough that we were going to meet. And it had been maybe 3 months or so. And I drove up here to visit him, and the rest is history. So we met online. Long way of saying we met online 23 years ago. See, sometimes it does work. Number 7, what was your first house or apartment like when you moved out of your childhood home? It was not the best. It was actually a room in a downtown hotel. And it wasn't really a hotel. It was more like a boarding house in a way because it was a residency, but it had once been a hotel, the Hooker Hotel, if you can imagine that, named for Thomas Hooker, not for the occupation of those who frequented it. But it was a fairly large room on the corner. I could look out onto Main Street through either window. And it was just like a place to be at first once I got out of the house. Not a place I stayed in for long, but that was the first. And it was very dingy, very rundown, very old. And I was maybe there a month or two, I think, before I moved on to something else. Number 8, did your family take trips or go on vacation to a certain destination? No, we never really had money growing up to do those kinds of things. We would sometimes go to Six Flags, or it was at that time Riverside Amusement Park in Agawam, Massachusetts, if any of you know it. But that was like a day trip. We never really did trips or vacations. In the summer, though, when I was very young, we would go for a week to my grandmother's house, my maternal grandmother's house, and spend a week with her there. So I guess that was kind of our vacation, but it wasn't a family type of vacation. It was more like, let me pass on the kids and get them out of my hair for at least a week. My mother deserved that much. Number 9, are you still friends with any of your childhood friends? Yes, although we don't communicate as much as we used to, mostly through Facebook. But one that I can think of, my friend Valerie, who is the first and I think only girl I ever kissed. We were, I don't know, I want to say 10 or 11 maybe. And we were out in a tent that she had in her backyard. Her house was here, mine was here, so we didn't live that far apart. And we went into the tent and we kissed. And I think I remember other kids being outside being like, ooh, they're kissing or something. But it didn't work for either of us because I'm gay, she's a lesbian. We were trying something that didn't work. But that, I think, is the only girl that I have ever kissed. And number 10, do any events stand out to you that you experienced as a child? Yes, there are, but the experiences that stand out the most to me are not fun memories or fond memories. My father was an alcoholic, and he would be very abusive to my mother. One time she had gone out with some friends and he had come to the house and told the babysitter to leave, and he kidnapped us. Another time he held us a hostage at gunpoint, and I ended up having to sneak out of the house to call the police. But I do remember I was probably about 6, almost 7, and my mother came out of the baby's room, my sister's room, Kelly, screaming because she was blue, and she ran out into the street to try to get someone to help her. And someone did, obviously, because I spoke about my sister Kelly living an hour and a half away from me. But that freaked me out. So for years afterward, it would become almost a compulsion where I would go into her room while she was sleeping and just check to make sure she was breathing. That's how ingrained that memory was. The only other thing I can remember that's a little more pleasant is that we used to steal my youngest brother and sister's baby food and eat those. And I was also always a very giving person. So my brother Tom, the one who passed away a few months back, I shared some baby aspirin with him, and we had to go get our stomachs pumped. So I do remember things, some significant things, but not all of them great, not all of them good. But I moved on from them, and here I am today, for better or worse. All right, so those are all of the questions. Thank you, Sandy from Life with Sandy, for coming up with the questions this month. As I said, there are other videos coming up this week, such as the collab this coming Sunday, some lemon bars on Friday, and I finally perfected my banana split upside down cake, so that one will be coming up soon. So there are things to look forward to. So subscribe to my channel if you're new here and you haven't subscribed. And if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor when you subscribe, also hit that like button, comment down below. That really helps my channel out. And share this video or any of my videos if you think there's someone who would be interested in the content. And if you're interested in any of my recipes, check out the description box. My blog is linked down there. And there are other things in there like my social media, my Instagram, and 3 Facebook groups that I'm part of. So check out the description box. There's all sorts of information down there. So I think I'm going to just enjoy this evening weather. It's about 73. I'm liking it, but it does feel a little muggy, so we may be in for some rain. But until next time, bye.